All right. Here we go again, back on the mic. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so before we start, please don't forget and hit that little subscribe button on the bottom right. That will help, that would be good. More people we are, the more interesting we can keep the conversation. Yeah, so as usual, I did my little round on the YouTube. Check out especially on the fight that is coming up on Sunday in Cleveland. The fight opposing Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. And boy, the MMA community is ecstatic. Man, I was saying it. I said it. They're shitting their pants, right? They want to support their boy Tyron Woodley, but they know the danger is there. And they take him one step forward, two step backwards. And they're not sure about that thing. Again, like I was saying, they were finding it funny when it was Conor McGregor against Floyd Mayweather. When Conor McGregor has had nothing to lose, when the MMA has nothing to lose, when the UFC had nothing to lose but everything to win, because actually he was on the side of Floyd Mayweather, who had everything to lose. And man, it takes guts for Floyd Mayweather at that time to accept this fight when he was retired already for 2 years, didn't put the glove, didn't take the training seriously, right? And Conor McGregor was at the peak. I mean, he was at the peak of his form of his career. He was the top dog, and he still torched him. From Mayweather showed guts, right? And torched them. And now you can see what's going on. You have a YouTuber, a Disney kid, like they call him, a guy who just started fighting and boxing at 21 years old, who's now taking like a guy who's been fighting for decades, who's been five-time UFC champion, welterweight champion, and like Rogan said, one of the top three best welterweight champion ever in the UFC. Can you believe that? And this kid now is fighting it, and not only is he fighting him, but but the odds are saying that he's going to win, and that's unbelievable. That's totally unbelievable. So when I mean, it's not enough just to listen to me and to say that the MMA community is shitting in their pants, because at the end of the day, what they're doing is that, yeah, Tyron should win if all the stars are aligned, and that the things are respected and everything, he should win. But Jake Paul, we got to admit, has real power and so on and so forth. Some even admit that they support Tyron Woodley because he's their boy, because he's there. He's from the community, the UFC community, the MMA community, and that's why they support him. Which doesn't mean that they really believe inside their head that Tyron Woodley is going to pull it off, right? And that's the strange word that I just used, pull it off. Actually, he should win because he's the one with the most experience. So let's just go. And I was listening to this morning, and that was just funny the way that they were talking, because they really weren't sure of themselves, and they know that UFC, MMA, they got a lot to lose, and especially with that pretension that they can go do judo, do this and that, right? Go from the UFC and then becomes the best. And again, when I say become the best, man, Jake Paul is far from being the best boxer. I mean, you got your Canelo, Andrew Woods, your Fury and all that. He's far from being the best. And now he's going against the best that the UFC has. I mean, it's not long ago that he has lost his belt. I mean, it was yesterday that Kamaru Usman beat him. So he's not even going against the best, right? You hear? That's totally crazy. So let's just listen to example. Let's listen to Michael Bisping, the way that he's going to tell us about this fight.
In the later rounds, but I don't know. I want to. Is he pushing himself that hard in the later rounds? But I don't know. I want Tyron to win, and I'll pick Tyron. I will, but
I want Tyron to win, and I pick Tyron, but can you hear that? I want Tyron to win, and I pick Tyron to win, but You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's two things. I mean, he's taking one step forward, two step backwards. He wants him to win, but there's something, right? He's not sure, right? Well, I mean, Tyron is the champ, man. Tyron is like 5-time welterweight champion of the UFC. How can you have that hesitation when he's fighting someone who's not even like I'm not even talking about the best in the boxing world. He's not even like the medium best or I don't know what. You know what I mean?
I honestly think I'm wrong in that pick. I'm picking him publicly. I'm picking him because I'm showing support for my UFC want Tyron to win it.
And he's saying, I know that I'm wrong. I'm picking him up publicly. So he's admitting that inside he doesn't think that Tyron Woodley is going to win, but publicly he's picking him up, right? Well, which, I mean, you just say that publicly, so it means that publicly you think that he's not going to win, right?
And I'll pick Tyron, I will, but I honestly think I'm wrong in that pick. I'm
There you
picking
go.
him publicly. I'm picking him because I'm showing support for my UFC brother.
So, it's just like I told you. So he's showing support for his UFC brother, right? But he doesn't. But telling that is telling us basically that he doesn't believe that T Wood is going to win this fight, right? And that the support that he's giving him basically is just a support because Tyron Woodley is his UFC brother, right? So let's listen to something else, right? Let's listen to something else because this is really fun.
Tyron hasn't won a round in 16 consecutive rounds. Do you know what I mean? 16 consecutive rounds. He's been beaten up. Tyron hasn't won a round in 16 consecutive rounds.
So after saying that Tyron is going to win, right? That is supporting him. He's telling all the things that's going against Tyron Woodley, right? Against Tyron Woodley winning this fight, right? So I mean, basically what he told us is that, listen, the reality is the following. I'm picking him because he's from my MMA community, right? He's an MMA brother, a brother of arms. But to be honest with you, I really think that he's going to get beat up by this young kid who just started boxing. That's basically what I'm hearing, right? I'm not hearing anything else. Right. On the other side, I mean, you got some guys that are sticking for what they're saying. I mean, Masvidal is really representing. I mean, he's telling it like it is. He thinks that Woodley, he's going to beat Jake Paul. Woodley is a fighter. He's been through wars. He's got the experience. He's got the power from him, from what he's saying, and he's thinking that he's going to beat him. And when you go to Joe Rogan. Again, like I was telling you, Joe Rogan saying that Tyron Woodley for him is one of the best in that the UFC had to offer in terms of welterweight. I mean, that's one of the. Let's listen to what he's saying. Like basically,
worry about getting us tired, and he can pick his shots. He'll be the most dangerous guy that Jake Paul's ever fought for sure. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he wins.
So here we go. So after Joe Rogan said that, listen, he's going to be the most, and again, that's funny because we're talking about saying that he's going to be the most dangerous fighter that Jake Paul ever fought, right? But that shouldn't be the narrative. I mean, you got such a big disparity on the experience of the two fighters, right? And their pedigree that you shouldn't even think twice about it. You should close your eyes and just pick Tyron Woodley and back him up like 150, 200%. Definitely. From this pedigree and from what is the narrative of the UFC saying that their fighters are the baddest men on earth or that they can do anything and they can cross over everywhere, that they're able to do that stuff. Wow. So why are we even thinking about it, right? And you got your boy Joe Rogan that is saying again, and let's listen to him.
For sure. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he wins.
There
He'll
you
be
go.
the most dangerous guy that Jake Paul's ever fought, for sure. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he wins. And I think Jake Paul can box.
There you go. He thinks that Jake Paul can box. So that's totally great. Again, we're seeing like the type of behavior and narrative that you go one step forward. Okay, I'm good. I'm with my boy. I'm with I'm with my boy Tyron, but then you put it back in reverse, look in the mirror, and you start going backwards. Oh yeah, but it doesn't mean that he's going to win. And I absolutely think that Jake Paul can box. So basically, what they're doing is kind of strange, and is unbelievable. Again, like I'm saying, because of the pedigree of the two fighters, right? It shouldn't even be a question. It shouldn't be a question of opposition or something or anything like that. I mean, we should flat out say that Tyron Woodley will beat Jake Paul, and be able to bet any type of amount of money on that, and the odds also should be in favor of Tyron Woodley. So that's a strange situation that we're having right now, right? I mean, at the end of the day, when Floyd Mayweather fought Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather was a favorite in there, right? He was a favorite, right? No matter what, right? Now, I just don't understand how can the odds put Jake Paul favorite over a champion of the UFC, right? A guy who's been boxing and fighting all his life. That is, again, something that I don't understand. But hey, it is what it is, right? Let's listen to the big boss of the UFC, right, Mr. Dana White, because I think that he's got things to say. Him on his side, he's doing this exactly the same thing as Joe Rogan. He's doing the same thing as Michael Bisping. Yeah, he's saying that he's going to support. He has to support. He has to. Those guys are stuck in the mud.
Lee stepping in there with a guy who can punch. Well, I'd have to go with Woodley by knockout.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'd have to go with Woodley by knockout.
Yeah, I think so.
Who can punch? Well, I'd have to go with Woodley by knockout.
Now, why are we saying I have to? My question: why are we saying I have to go with Woodley by now? You don't have to. Nobody's forcing you to go. If you don't think that Woodley is going to win or whatever, why do you have to say that he's going to win? And that's a big problem. Jake Paul was asking Tyron Woodley, okay, about the tattoo. You're not confident. If you're confident, you're going to say it right away. And that's the feeling that I have. I mean, definitely Dana White and the MMA community, I mean, most of the guys are not confident about the victory of Tyron Woodley, and they kind of feel like shaking in their pants. They're freaking out to see that going in there, he actually represent MMA, he actually represent the UFC. And Kevin Holland said it, man. Don't shame us. Make us proud, man. Don't shame us, because he does represent the UFC. He does represent MMA, and he can't actually shame them losing against a guy that has no real fighting experience, right? So let's go with Dana White again a little bit.
I have to go with Woodley by knockout.
Yeah, I think so too.
So that's the step forward, right? That's the step forward. I have to go with Woodley, and that's a half step, by the way, because the have to kind of worries me. So that's a half step forward, but look at the step backwards.
Man, Woodley should knock him out.
He should. But
Again, the Tyron Woodley you talk about, that was the champ. This is the same guy he was, 4 years ago.
so that's funny, right? Because let's do it again. Let's do it again. But
I'm gonna surprise.
You talk about that was the champ. This is the same guy he was, 4 years ago.
He looks like he wants to cry. Look at his face. I had the feeling he wants to cry. But no. Let's go and let's try to hear this, right? He's saying that he's not the guy that he was 4 years ago and stuff like that, right? And you see the step backwards. Like he took maybe a leap, like 2-3 step backwards, I would say. And now he's talking about that. Now he's telling us that, in fact, right? Yeah, Tyron Woodley is going to win. And if he wins, he's going to show like even a washed up champ can beat a young kid and all that. I mean, he's going to build up the narrative around that. But if he loses, then he's going to catch back on that and say that, hey, listen, I told you Tyron Woodley, since he lost his belt, he's not the same guy. He lost how many fights? He didn't fight. He was washed up, going up on 40. What's going on? What did you expect, right? But he's not going to see that this young kid just started fighting, just started boxing 21 years old, and he's 24 now, right? And again, when Mr. Conor McGregor was fighting a washed up and a retired Floyd Mayweather that hadn't boxed for 2 years, I'm saying didn't box for 2 years, right? He didn't care about that. He didn't care that Floyd Mayweather was over 40, that he didn't box for I don't know how many years, and that he didn't really took that fight seriously, right? Opposite to Tyron Woodley, who's taking that shit real serious. I mean, he's taking that shit serious. I mean, there's no excuses if he loses. There's no excuses, none from Tyron Woodley, and none from the MMA, none from the UFC, none from Dana White. I mean, he's taking that fight extremely serious. Nobody can say that he lost because he didn't train enough, or he lost because he didn't believe it hard enough, or he didn't train because he didn't know how to fight, or he didn't know how to box. He's telling us that he knows how to do all these things, and that he's dead serious in what he's doing, right? And one thing that, and again, I mean, it continues on and on and on. And I'm just showing you some of the stuff that I saw in this video, right? And that I'm handpicking in this video, just to show you how much the MMA community is freaking out. They're freaking out. They're scared shitless to be shamed by Jake Paul, right? They're scared shitless to be scared by Jake Paul. One thing though that Masvidal said, and again, I'm going to come back to that, because Masvidal said that, listen, even if Jake Paul loses, it's nothing. I mean, if he's dedicated to boxing, a loss is a loss, and that's it. And he's a young fighter. He's a young kid. He's going to show us his determination. He's going to bounce back up and train again harder and come back and win and keep progressing in his career, right? And that's I relate that to when we were discussing one of the video about who has the most to lose, who has the more pressure, right? And on Jake Paul's side, he has no pressure at all, basically. Maybe just the ego. So if the ego takes over, maybe that's going to be his problem. But in terms of pressure, in terms of having things to lose, I mean, it's more on Tyron Woodley's side. I mean, he's carrying the weight of all of the UFC, or all of the MMA's expectation, right? And he's looking at this. I mean, he's got all his movie deal, or his record deal, his music, all that shit. So he's got a lot to lose. When he's going to feel the first punch, and if the first punch hits him hard and hurt him, he's going to start thinking about all that, right? And like I say, it might be trying to find a way out that is not to be knocked down and looking at the ceiling, right? Maybe he's going to chase DQ, right, or something like that. So you got to watch that, and especially if he gets hurt, look at his reaction, and look for him to try to find a way out by a DQ, right, instead of being knocked down by a YouTuber. I'm pretty sure about that. He's gonna do everything. If that happens, it turns out this way, he's gonna look for every exit apart from getting knocked out. Let me tell you this, believe it. Now, what? I'm gonna go Josh Thompson. He said something pretty interesting here, right? And he's true. I mean, he's telling it like it is him as well, right? So let's listen to him. I don't think that he took a step back, right? I mean, more or less. Let's go.
Bottom line is that he's never had the one crunch like you pointed out. He's never had that.
Oh man, that's again. All right, let's give it to them, right? And let's come back to this. Here we go.
One crunch knockout power. Never
Okay.
had that one crunch knockout power. Crunch like you pointed out. He's never had that. He's never had that one crunch knockout power.
Right? So that's what Josh Thompson said. He never had that one punch power, and that's what I believe. That's what the UFC community is banking on, right? Is they're looking at Tyron Woodley knocked out different people or TKO them, and they believe that he's got a tremendous power that like he's a little Tyson or something, that if he touches you, or Ngannou, that he touches you and you just go to sleep, right? But they realized that that's not the case. He never knocked down someone just by one punch. I mean, it hurt them, and then after that, he follows it up and he knocked them out. So it is what it is. And again, let's listen to this.
Power. And I was like, I feel power. And out. He's never had that one punch knocked out.
I mean,
and I was like, I threw it out there. I was like, what about when we fought my boy, Toxic? He's like,
right? So definitely this is something that we have to already pull out, because that's the reality. If he didn't have that power, that one punch power, he didn't have that one punch power. And also the big unknown, because there's a lot of things that we don't know about Jake Paul, right? And we don't know how he's going to react under pressure. We don't know how he's going to react when he's going to get hurt. We don't know how he's going to react past the third or fourth round. We don't know about that. We didn't know a lot of things about Ngannou when he fought Stipe the second time. We knew that he trained a lot. We knew that he'd improve in some aspect, but we didn't know how it was going to add up under the light, under the action, right? And that's the same thing with Jake Paul. I mean, we don't know a lot. We don't know how he's going to react after the third or fourth round. We don't know how he's going to react when he's going to get hurt, when he's going to get tired. But we don't know either if he's got a good chin or if he doesn't have a good chin. And here we're already talking about Tyron Woodley not having that tremendous one-punch power that people are talking about in the MMA community, right? So this is combined with a granite chin on the kid side, right? On this kid side, then we have an additional problem, right? We have another problem. So let's just keep going. That was just one little thought that I had here. Let's keep going here, right?
He's got power. He's got power. I don't know if he's got the same type of power in boxing gloves. He was power. I don't know if he's got the same type of power in boxing gloves.
There we go.
Power. He's got power. I don't know if he's got the same type of power in boxing gloves.
So here we go, and it comes back again. I mean, he's got power. We're saying he's got power. So already in the MMA, we have to understand that he doesn't have that one punch knockout power like you got the Mark Hunt or that have the Ngannou that has that one punch power. You had a lot of people that Tank Habal used to have it. I mean, you had like guys that could knock you out just by grazing your chin, right, or even hitting you on the shoulder. So, but that's not the kind of power that Tyron Woodley already in the UFC with his 4-inch. That's another size for you. But anyway, let's go. Let's be serious. That he has with the 4-ounce gloves, right? So he doesn't have that power already, right? And now he's gonna go in there and he's going to put on like 10-ounce gloves, or I don't know how many ounce they're gonna use, but it's certainly not gonna be 4-ounce, right? And how is that power going to equate? How's that power is going to translate there? And we've been talking about that already in the prediction and all that stuff. And that's a question that everybody now is asking as well, right? How is that power going to translate? Already the power is questionable, but on top of that, you're taking gloves that can minimize and mitigate that power even more. Totally crazy. We are in trouble. The MMA community, the UFC is freaking out. They're scared shitless about their reputation right now. Oh my God. I'm not sure they're so pleased about that fight. And I tell you what, they're all gonna tune in. Everybody's gonna tune in, and you know what? Dana White is going to be the first to tune in. I'm pretty sure he actually the one that bought the first pay-per-view. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's keep going here because man, this guy is talking and he's talking real, right?
You know, because boxing pace is not the same as MMA pace, where I can just take you down and hold you and control position for a little bit if I need to, or I can clinch you against the wall. It's not the same as MMA pace, where I can just, you know, because boxing pace is not the same as MMA pace, where I can just take you down and hold you and control position for a little bit if I need to, or I can clinch you against the wall, catch my breath, you know, fight you for underhooks, all that stuff.
So you see, that's the type of thing that we've been talking about as well in the other prediction video, right? The prediction, right? So people are saying that Tyron Woodley's got. Oh, we've seen Tyron Woodley go out and do five minutes rounds, and we know that he has the stamina, he's got the endurance to be able to do it. Man, we've seen a Conor McGregor just go limb, just go dead when he was walked down by Floyd Mayweather. And by the way, I mean, Conor McGregor had a crazy punching power when he was in the UFC, and he had that type of one punch knockout power. But do you remember how freaking Floyd Mayweather took that uppercut and kept walking, like eat it up like it was breakfast? So that was totally crazy, right? But that's how it is. That's how it is. I'm not saying that Jake Paul is Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying that he's been through these type of wars and to those type of punches, right? But what I'm saying is that in terms of power, we have to be careful about saying that someone is a knockout artist in the UFC, so he's going to be a knockout artist in the boxing realm. That could equate. But on the other hand, it might not, right? And when we're talking about the pace here, we're saying the pace of the boxing pace is not the same as the UFC pace. I mean, in the UFC pace, like Josh Thompson is saying, there's a lot of different situations where you can catch your breath. But on the boxing side, it's very hard for someone to catch their breath. Very hard, except if, let's say, the fight is really fair and boxers are doing a standstill at the middle of the ring, and that they're not throwing that much. But usually that's not the case. One is going to push and the other one is going to push forward. One is going to move backward, and then the other is going to push forward, and the other. So there's always movement, and the clinch are broken up pretty fast, right? Now let's go to Brandon. So here again, you see Josh Thompson. Definitely, he's gonna go with his boy, right? He's gonna go with his boy. But at the end of the day, he doesn't believe that Tyron Woodley can win this fight. He doesn't, because he's saying. I mean, I don't even remember that if he took a step forward, because all the steps that are here are backwards. So, but let's go to the last one, like Shab. Brendan Schaub, the superhero. Respect for what he did in the highway with the kids. Much respect. So now he's trying to believe as well, man. He knows that Tyron Woodley is in a bad spot, right? He's definitely in a bad spot. So let's listen to Brendan Schaub.
24 years old, gonna push the pace on him.
Dude, if the world is all good and everything's normal in the world and Woodley take this fight serious, he should beat Jake Paul. Now let's just...
So here we go. Now he's saying it, and that's what I said. If all the stars are aligned, if everything makes sense in terms like, okay, Tyron Woodley's been fighting all his life, and this kid just started boxing. So there's no way that this kid with the credentials that we see, Tyron Woodley being one of the best pound for pound welterweight champion of the UFC in history, right? There's no way that this kid can beat him, right? He's not even looking at technique and all that stuff. He's just looking at, like, realistically the pedigree of both of these guys, right? And he's saying that it's not possible, but unfortunately, it's not always that geometrical, right? Sometimes things can be screwed up. And I think that in that regard, on the 29th, they're going to realize that things are a little bit twisted and a little bit sideways, definitely, right? So this is just an example, just to show you guys. I mean, that's my opinion here. That a lot of fighters in the UFC, a lot of people in the UFC community are very worried, very concerned about that fight. They are very concerned about that fight. I mean, we've been hearing a lot of people talking shit about boxing. A lot of people saying that UFC can cross over and just kick the ass of the boxers. No worries, no problem, because hey, you know what? We train all of this discipline, right? And we can do this. We can go everywhere, anywhere, any place, anytime, right? Now, This is crazy. If a young kid that just started fighting is going to beat like one of the most decorated champion of the UFC, one of the acclaim by Joe Rogan, who knows his shit. Joe Rogan knows his shit. The acclaim, right? One of the top pound for pound fighters and best welterweight champion in the history of the UFC. I mean, it says it all. It says it all. I mean, it diminishes the value of the product if that kid is able to beat him, right? We're not even talking about a fight. It's not even comparable to the fight with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, where Conor McGregor had a lot of credential when fighting Floyd Mayweather, and actually he had real, even on paper, real chance to beat him, right? But he got torched, knocked out, right? Knocked down, exhausted, like, please, I cannot more, save me, right? So it is what it is. This is the reality of this fight. That's a scary fight for MMA. That's a scary fight for UFC, and that's a scary fight for Dana White, who has no choice. I mean, these guys have no choice but to go, to support their brothers of arm, Tyron Woodley, because it's part, whether we want it or not. That's the label that he has on him, and that's the belt that he has. He doesn't have any boxing belt. He doesn't have any judo or whatever BJJ belt. He has an UFC belt. So definitely they have to support him. But by supporting him, they want to have an exit. They want to have an urgency. Right? And so they're taking those steps backwards and making people understand that from what they're saying, Tyron Woodley is washed up. That Tyron Woodley is not the Tyron Woodley of all, right? But I don't think that they can feed that to people, because some other boxers that take it the way it is, that that are saying things clearly, are just saying that flat out, like, don't shame us, man. Don't shame us. You represent the UFC. You better represent good, right? So it is what it is. Just funny. It's just funny to see how the tide can be turned. One day we're laughing because we have nothing to lose in a fight where you got Conor and Floyd, meaning MMA versus boxing, and MMA had everything to win, right? And now it's the opposite. Boxing has everything to win, and MMA, well, even if they win, what the hell? Our friend Jesus Masvidal said it. I mean, it's just a loss for our friend Jake Paul. It's just a loss. But if Tyron loses, woo, my man, this is something else. So here it is. That's my reflection on it. That's my opinion on this. People are scared shitless right now, shitting in their pants, concerned, crossing their fingers. I'm telling you, the entire MMA community is going to be hooked up on that screen. That's the magic of Jake Paul. He's gonna have the whole freaking MMA community glued to that screen to see how Tyron Woodley is going to represent them, and they're going to be freaking out. Don't blink. It's gonna be something else. All right. So please let me know what you think about this. Give me your comments, your opinion. It's going to be a fun one. Like, dislike, it's your choice. But let's do everything in all due respect. But I can't wait to read you guys and read what your opinion is on this.